It's the best of the best. It's the one and only.
You can't handle the truth.
To declare him.
You are listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
Sneakers on, getting ready for a flashback. Time keeps moving on, looking at you feeling like I could never get enough of you. And I could never get enough of you. I could never get enough of you.
I don't want them, no, get them all off me. Say that for L, she a cause, you see. 4 cars deep, we'll come through on a late night. Chicken spot, wings and fries, we call that a day night. Lights on, so out, I don't have no stage fright. Knew that I was built for this forever, ever.
You are listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
We ride dance, 10 times 10, all my friends, this for real.
Normally get on your nerves, then you got to change something. If you're tired of being mediocre, you got to change something.
You know, now,
everybody has to determine what their own normal is. Normal for me is going to be different from you. Normal for you is different from me. But once you determine what normal is for you, and you ain't gonna carry that no more, you got to do this something, man. Because that shit on your nerves. Being mediocre was driving me crazy. And it started when I was homeless, man, just pushing. Because I was sick of being poor. I'm just be honest with you. Poverty, I was sick of it. I was up to hurt. I had enough. I don't know how you feel about poverty, but I get on my nerves. And homeless is a whole nother level of poverty. Now I in the bathroom, a bedroom, a back door, a TV, a phone. You know, I was on that head, man. It wasn't no cell phones that wrapped your mind around that. So I ain't got no phone, I ain't got no backyard. Man, I said, hold up. And I just, I ain't trying to preach to them, but that pushed me towards my feet. My mama's Sunday school teacher pushed me back to what she was trying to teach me. I went on back to that, then I started turning the curve. Because I was my faith, man. I thought God don't listen. He was listening. I just wouldn't ask him. I just tried to figure it out myself. I changed that, man. He changed my whole life. God is amazing, man. If you come to him, he always hears you. He's always available. He ain't never too busy. That's the cool thing about him. And he was available for me the whole time. He just, I wasn't checking in with him. God ain't turned his back on you. You walk away from him. He always is there. I got stupid. I was turned away from him. When I turned around and started talking to him, I just started dealing with him. I said, if you let me make it, when I get down, I tell everybody what you do. So guess what? You just asked me about it. Didn't I just tell you about it? Every chance I get.
I ain't scared of you motherfuckers.
You are listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
Either way, I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to.
Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for. So listen responsibly.
It's the best of the best. It's the one and only DJ Ice, Louisville's coldest DJ.
What we got here is failure to communicate. voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Go DJ, that's my DJ. Go DJ, that's my DJ. Go DJ, that's my DJ. Go DJ.
You are listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
Hey, good evening. Welcome to Conscious Fever here on Ice Entertainment Television, Conscious Fever Radio. If y'all don't mind just giving me a thumbs up that you can hear me loud and clear. I'm going to scoot over here so y'all can see what's going on outside. There are some protesting, or I don't know if it's protesting or if it's celebration because of all the stuff that happened today. But this is Conscious Fever. I am Carl Price, your host, here live in Louisville, Kentucky on this hot summer night. Here on Ice Entertainment Television. You're also listening to us on Conscious Fever Radio. You heard that mix as it came in. All of that stuff is from Conscious Fever Radio. If y'all are not catching it, thank you for the likes. Give me a thumbs up. If y'all are not catching the music on Conscious Fever Radio, it's kind of all the music I like, which some may think is weird or some may think is really, really hot, just like the DJ said. Anyway, I got a lot to talk about tonight, and I am hoping that y'all are willing to talk with me about this tonight. Let me bring my microphone just a little bit closer so y'all can hear me. But you know, if I turn my head this way, then the microphone won't hear me. But anyway, let's see here. Brittney, Griner, 9 years, LMPD, arrested. Let me see if we've got that somewhere. Let me come back and see if I can give y'all this. There it is. Brittney Griner, 9 years. LMPD arrested for Breonna Taylor's death and Deshaun Watson's punishment. Yeah, we're going to talk about all of that tonight. Just here tonight. Let's see if I can get back. But you're not.
These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise.
This is what happens in the studio. Mission. Okay, there we go. The song goes off. But anyway, that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And I'm hoping y'all are willing to share with me tonight some of your comments about all of this stuff that has happened in the last week. Earlier this week, Deshaun Watson, as you all are aware, Mr. Watson, interesting enough, Mr. Watson was, looks like there's some things I got to correct here. Y'all just bear with me a second. We're going to get all this together. All this stuff seems to happen all at the same time. Anyway, hit save. Won't let me hit save. Now my machine is messing up, y'all. I have no idea what's going on. Greg, clear 4. Okay, let me try something here, y'all. I might be stuck. Okay. Let's see. Can we go up here? Yeah, let's do that. Okay, there we go. Hell is going on here? Okay, anyway, I am going to make... Somebody's calling me, y'all. Hold on, y'all. Just bear with me a second. Let me see here. Brittney Deshaun Breonna is what we do here. So we're gonna have to just make this one work. How about that? There we go. Big correction. Anyway, this is Deshaun Watson, and of course, as I mentioned earlier, Deshaun Watson is got an interesting punishment. But I'm going to start this off. If y'all can be patient with me, I'm going to start this off with what happened today. Let's talk about one of the most interesting situations, is what I'm going to call it, in 2020. No, it was not George Floyd. It was almost forgotten, but for the incident in Minneapolis with George Floyd, it was Breonna Taylor. And so something has happened today, as the FBI normally does when it has an indictment, especially a sealed indictment. They just meet you. I'm going to make some other adjustments here, y'all. They just meet you in your home at about 5 or 6 in the morning. And then what they do is they just get you out of bed and, arrest you. And that's what they did this morning. So I'm going to start off talking about that, and I want y'all to comment as much as you want to. But here's the headline. According to the Department of Justice, a federal grand jury in Louisville, Kentucky returned 2 indictments that were unsealed today. And the Department of Justice filed a third charging document, which they call an information, today in connection with an investigation into the circumstances, all right, surrounding the death of Breonna Taylor. Y'all remember her? She was 26 years old. She was shot and killed here in Louisville on March 13, 2020 by police officers executing a search warrant, right? The Justice Department, the United States Justice Department put this out today, and they said that the Justice Department has charged 4 current and former Louisville Metro Police Department officers with federal crimes related to Breonna Taylor's death. That was according to the Attorney General, Merrick Garland. And I'm going to tell you just some of the things that that he said, but I'm going to get you back here, as I talk about that. Merrick Garland said, among other things, the federal charges announced today allege that members of LMPD's Place-Based Investigations Unit falsified the affidavit used to obtain the search warrant of Ms. Taylor's home. And he says that this act violated the federal civil rights laws and that those violations resulted in Ms. Taylor's death. Breonna Taylor, he says, should be alive today. He says that the Justice Department is committed to defending and protecting the civil rights of every person in this country. That was the department's founding purpose, and it remains, he says, our urgent mission. And the Justice Department on their website then takes the opportunity to actually, break everything down. So that's just a little tidbit. I'm going to come back and just tell you all about it. We're talking about Brianna, Deshaun, and Brittney tonight. Ironically, all people of color that have made the news today and this week. Brittney Griner got 9 years, and Deshaun Watson basically got a 6-game suspension. Do you agree or disagree with that? I want to hear your comments tonight. But in any case, so I'm going to step away just for a quick second. I'm going to come back. We're going to talk about all of these in that order. Breonna Taylor, Brittney Griner, and then Deshaun Watson. I'm Carl Price. This is Conscious Fever here on Ice Entertainment Television and Conscious Fever Radio. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
You are listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
I'm really, really hot.
That was fresh.
I'm really, really hot.
Welcome back to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
Should have taken his tie off. But anyway, we're talking about Brittney, Deshaun, and Breonna. On March 13, 2020, many of you all remember Breonna Taylor should have awakened in her home as usual, but tragically she did not. This is according to Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark. Since the founding of our nation, she said, the Bill of Rights to the United States Constitution has guaranteed that all people have a right to be secured in their homes, free from false warrants, unreasonable searches, and the use of unjustified and excessive force by the police. These indictments, she said, reflects the Department of Justice's commitment. She says the commitment. I'm showing you something that I probably shouldn't be showing you. Let me show you this one here. Says it reflects the commitment to preserving the integrity of the criminal justice system and to protecting the constitutional rights of every American. The first indictment in this case charges former Louisville Police Department detective Joshua James. Joshua James, by the way, if you all didn't know, he is 40 years old, and he's currently an LMPD sergeant. Joshua James has been fired. Joshua James, but also a sergeant whose name is Cal Meany. You see him in the picture here. Who's 35 years old with federal civil rights and obstruction offenses for their roles in preparing and approving a false search warrant affidavit that resulted in Taylor's death. The second indictment charges former LMPD detective Brett Hankinson, who's 46 years old, and you see Brett there, with civil rights offenses for firing his service weapon into Taylor's apartment through a covered window and covered glass door. The third charging document, which is called an information, is filed by the Department of Justice, charges LMPD detective Kelly Goodlett, the only female charged in this, with conspiring with James to falsify the search warrant for Taylor's home and to cover up, I have to say that again, to cover up their actions afterwards. Let's talk about this. The first indictment charging James and Meany. The first indictment.
Really hot.
I have to always stop every time they do that. But anyway, the first indictment charging James and Meany in connection with the allegedly false warrant. I don't know why we even say allegedly, because everybody knows now that the warrant was false. But their indictment contains 4 counts. Count 1 charges that James and Meany, both while acting in their official capacities as officers, willfully deprived Taylor of her constitutional rights by drafting and approving a false affidavit to obtain a search warrant for Breonna's home. The indictment alleges that James and Meany knew that the affidavit contained false and misleading statements, omitted material facts, relied on stale information, and was not supported by probable cause. The indictment also alleges that James and Meany knew that the execution of the search warrant would be carried out by armed LMPD officers and could create a dangerous situation, which it did, both for those officers and for anyone who happened to be in Taylor's home, which we all know now was Kenneth Walker. But according to the charges, the officers tasked with executing the warrant were not involved in drafting the warrant affidavit and were not aware that it was false. This count alleges that the offense resulted in Taylor's death. Now, count 2 charges James with also Joshua James, who, as you all know, prepared the search warrant and presented it to the circuit court judge. But count 2 charges James with conspiracy for agreeing with another detective to cover up the false warrant affidavit after Taylor's death by drafting a false investigative letter and making false statements to criminal investigators. Now, count 3 charges James with falsifying a report with the intent to impede a criminal investigation into Taylor's death. Count 4 charges Sergeant Meany with making a false statement to federal investigators. Now, interesting enough, there was this second indictment, right? And the second indictment is against Brett Hankinson. And that includes 2 civil rights charges alleging that Brett Hankinson willfully used unconstitutionally excessive force while acting in his capacity as an officer when he fired his service weapon into Taylor's apartment through a covered window and covered glass door. Y'all got that? Right? That's what that's what everybody was talking about, right? Why was he never charged with actually shooting through that covered door? So count 1 of his charges charges him with depriving Breonna Taylor and a person staying with Taylor, we know to be Kenneth Walker now, in her apartment of their constitutional rights by firing shots through a bedroom window that was covered with blinds and a blackout curtain. Now, count 2 of Brett Hankinson's indictment charges him with depriving 3 of Breonna's neighbors of their constitutional rights by firing the shots through a sliding glass door that was covered with blinds and a curtain. The indictment alleges that several of Hankinson's bullets traveled through the wall of Taylor's home and into the apartment unit occupied by her neighbors. And we know now that those neighbors were 3 individuals, a male, a female, and I think an infant child. But both counts allege that Hankinson used a dangerous weapon, a firearm, which he did, and that his conduct involved an attempt to kill. The information that charges Goodlet, and I want to show y'all Goodlet again here. She's here, right there in the corner, you see. But the information charges Goodlet with conspiracy, and it only contains 1 count. It charges Goodlet with conspiring with Joshua James, to falsify the warrant affidavit for Taylor's home and for filing a false report to cover up the false affidavit, right? So, where am I supposed to be? I'm supposed to be right there, yeah. So understand, in federal law and civil rights language, I want y'all to understand what's going on, right? So we all have constitutional rights to be left alone, especially by the government, when the government has no business interfering with us in any kind of way. So basically, what that really means is that if you haven't committed any crimes, the police should not be bothering you. So we have that civil right. Okay, so a lot of the state's laws don't necessarily have criminal civil rights statutes. Some do. Okay, some do. But on the federal level, if you violate my 4th Amendment right, and I am injured by that in any way, injury to my property, injury to my body, I can actually sue the government for that, right? And I can sue the police for that, right? So that's what's going on here. Okay? They're saying that Breonna Taylor has, and Kenneth Walker, had a 4th Amendment right to be left alone. Okay? Now, the interesting thing is that you have indictments and information. Understand the difference. On the federal level, well, first of all, the civil rights charges and crimes are mostly on the federal level, right? So if you notice what's going on in Minnesota, what happened in Minnesota with those police officers, they took them to the federal level because the states really don't have strong civil right enforcement laws as a federal government. But an indictment is something that is given and handed down by a federal grand jury on the federal level. And an information is basically, it's a charging document. So Goodlet actually has been charged, but the reservation here is that they have to have a preliminary hearing to put on some evidence to sustain those charges. And then it goes on to the next level, similar to an indictment. But interesting enough, all of the civil rights charges involve alleged violations of Title 18 United States Code Section 242, which makes it a crime for an official acting under the color of law, the police, meaning an official who is using or abusing authority given to that person by the government, the police, to willfully violate a person's, Breonna Taylor's, constitutional rights. A violation of this statute, get this, y'all, carries a statutory maximum sentence of life imprisonment where the violation results in death or involves an attempt to kill. And we know here that it did result in death of Breonna Taylor. Now, the obstruction counts that I mentioned earlier, charged in the indictments, carry a statutory maximum sentence of 20 years. And the conspiracy counts carry a statutory maximum sentence of 5 years, as does the false statements charge. Now, the actual sentences in cases of in case there is a conviction are determined by a judge. Now, the charges announced today are separate from the Justice Department's, what's going on here? Civil Rights Division's pattern or practice investigation into Louisville Metro government and the Louisville Metro Police Department, which Attorney General Garland announced on April 26, 2021. The charges announced today are criminal against individual officers, while the ongoing pattern or practice investigation is a civil investigation that is examining allegations of systemic violations of the Constitution and federal law by LMPD and Louisville Metro. Now, the civil pattern or practice investigation is being handled independently from the criminal case by a different team of career staff. Now, I know a lot of y'all probably thought that probably had this inkling of what is the connection here between the state charges, right? Well, the charges announced today are also separate from the charges previously filed by the Commonwealth of Kentucky against Hankinson, right? So some of y'all might be saying, isn't there this double jeopardy thing where he can't be tried twice? Unfortunately, on the federal level, and in most cases, most criminal cases, that does not apply, right? So the charges previously filed by Danny Cameron's office against Hankinson related to the shooting at Breonna Taylor's home are a little bit different. The federal charges, as I've indicated, allege violations of the United States Constitution rather than of state law. The federal charges also allege excessive use of force with respect to Taylor and a person staying in her apartment. Violations not included in the state's case. And the source of this is the Department of Justice. So what we have here is something very interesting, right? So these 4 individuals have been charged, and I see y'all on Comment Central. I'm going to get to those comments here in just a second. Kelly Goodlett, Brett Hankinson, Joshua James, and Cal Meany. And if you're wondering what impact the fact that a state jury found Brett Hankinson not guilty of the wanton endangerment counts, I can tell you it doesn't matter. The federal government can still go after him because they are proceeding under federal statutes that have nothing at all to do with the state crime. So what's going on here? Are we actually one day, is the community actually going to get justice for Breonna Taylor? I don't know. But it looks like that might be the case, right? I'm going to take some of y'all's comments here. If I can, let me just move some things around here. There's a lot going on here, y'all. Let me look at this comment here. And I'm going to move it here because I don't want it that close to me. Alvin Brown, if he was alive, Muhammad Ali would negotiate Griner's release, and former President Donald Trump, if in office, would negotiate a compromise to release her as well. Yeah, we can talk about that when we get to that part. But interesting. Because I've heard that before, Alvin. I've heard that before. Derek from the great district of D.C. See what happens when you get actual trained prosecutors investigating, investigating the facts. Let me bring that back. Can you bring that back? Bring it back, yeah. Investigating. See what happens when you get actual trained prosecutors investigating the facts instead of McConnell's feckless houseboy, Daniel Cameron. I'm going to let you make that comment, although I believe that some of that has some merit. Hey, Carl, how are you? Hey, Normal Board, I am doing very, very well. We are talking about Breonna. We're talking about Brianna. We're talking about Brittney, and we're talking about the Justice Department. So, what do y'all think? What do y'all think is going on here? Are you more confident now that there will be a conviction on the federal level? Before you respond to that, let me just tell you, there is literally in federal court a 90+ conviction rate on all the cases they try, especially the high-profile cases. They don't bring cases without a lot of merit. They just don't do it. And so I would tell you that these 4 police officers should be concerned. Is it likely that their lawyers are going to try to work out a plea deal in the process? I don't know. If they do, they can control what kind of sentence they would likely get from the judge. But if they don't, some of them are facing life imprisonment. It's interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. I do have another break, and now I'm going to talk about. We're going to talk about who are we talking about next? Can you tell me who we're talking about next? Or we're talking about Deshaun Watson next. So we're going to talk about our buddy Deshaun Watson. Y'all know him. I don't have to explain to you all who Deshaun Watson is. Deshaun probably got a good deal, but we're going to come back and we're going to actually talk about Deshaun and what happened with Deshaun Watson. Then we're going to talk about Brittney Griner, because I know while some people were feeling pretty good about the indictments in the Breonna Taylor case, I can tell you some were, a lot of people in this country were extremely sour to hear that Brittney was given, that Brittney was given, 9 years, that she was given 9 years in a Russia penal camp, something like that. That's actually what they call it. Anyway, I'm Carl Price, Conscious Fever on Ice Entertainment Television, Conscious Fever Radio. I'll be right back. We're going to talk about Brittney Griner. I'm sorry, we're going to talk about Deshaun Watson. Be right back.
Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free with me.
What do you see? Do you see a kid from Compton? I see a bright future. I see a city where anything can happen, where legacies are built. LA is special. The star power, the ideas, the energy. Opportunity in this city could still be 1,000,000 miles away. But that never stopped us. Because we bet on ourselves. We bet on each other. And that's the power of LA. She's a city that favors the bold, the dreamers, the risk takers, the ones willing to put it all on the line. The future belongs to those who believe in something they can't see, but can feel. Anything can happen here. And whatever does, it belongs to those of us who are made in LA.
Welcome back to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
Hey, welcome back to Conscious Fever here on Ice Entertainment Television, Conscious Fever Radio. I am Carl Price. They're going to bring me back again with that same little song. Do y'all remember that Love Spell from but that's on Conscious Fever Radio if y'all want to listen to it. Anyway, we're talking about Deshaun Watson today. Deshaun Watson suspended for 6 games. Let's do that song. Yeah, I remember that. What's happening, Leonard Brown?
Welcome back to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
Anyway, the NFL, as y'all know, Deshaun Watson got a 6-game suspension, and the NFL now is to appeal the quarterback's 6-game suspension. The NFL says that it has appealed the Cleveland Browns quarterback 6-game suspension for violating the league's personal conduct policy, right? The league announced this on yesterday. Now, on Monday, Judge Sue L. Robinson, the independent disciplinary officer jointly appointed by the NFL and NFL Players Association, issued her ruling in the personal conduct policy matter regarding Deshaun Watson. The league said in a statement on Wednesday, now, under the 2020 NFL and the NFL Players Association collective bargaining agreement, the factual findings of the disciplinary officer are binding and may not be appealed. But Judge Robinson found that Mr. Watson violated the NFL's personal conduct policy on multiple occasions and suspended him for 6 games, only 6 games, with a $243 million contract. Now, the collective bargaining agreement, even though this thing was binding, the collective bargaining agreement actually affords the NFL or the Players Association the right to appeal the discipline imposed by the disciplinary officer, Judge Robinson. But such an appeal must be filed within 3 days and would be heard by the commissioner or his designee, and that's the commissioner of the NFL. Seems a little fishy here, right, y'all? And it very well may be. Ooh. I don't know. Do you want the NFL? How does that work, right? The NFL gets to Goodell gets to decide whether Deshaun Watson's punishment is it severe enough, right? The NFL, of course, notified the Players Association that it was going to appeal Judge Robinson's disciplinary decision, and they filed a brief on Wednesday afternoon. Now, Commissioner Roger Goodell will determine who will hear the appeal. The NFL had until NFL had until a few days to do it. But interesting enough, the NFL claims that it successfully carried its burden of proof by a preponderance of the evidence, which is not that much, that Deshaun Watson violated the personal conduct policy by engaging in sexual assault, conduct that poses a genuine danger to the safety and well-being of another person, and conduct that undermines or puts at risk the integrity of the NFL. Now, according to Judge Robinson's report, the NFL argued Watson should be suspended for at least the entire 2022 season. But Robinson, however, wrote that she was bound by standards of fairness and consistency of treatment among players similarly situated. And that's what she said in her decision. Now, the NFL Network's Judy Bautista reported on Wednesday, citing a source familiar with the appeal, that the league again is seeking a 1-year suspension for Watson. Now, the NFL Network's Steve Wish reported Wednesday also that the league could also seek a player fine and or a player treatment. The NFL Players Association announced last week that it would not appeal the judge's decision. Why not, right? The union has 2 days to respond to the league's notice of appeal. But per the personal conduct policy, the appeal would be processed on an expedited basis and will be based on a review of the existing record, meaning that no new evidence or testimony will be permitted. Now, the commissioner or his designee will issue a written decision that will constitute the full, final, and complete disposition of the dispute and will be binding upon the players, the clubs, and the parties to the collective bargaining agreement. Now, Watson's suspension actually came a month after his 3-day hearing in Delaware before Judge Robinson. The disciplinary hearing concluded on June 30th, and Watson was previously denied any wrongdoing and maintained any sex with the woman was consensual. 2 grand juries, by the way, y'all, in Texas declined to indict Deshaun Watson on criminal complaints filed by 10 women. Now, the source here is the NFL, NFL.com. So how do y'all feel about that? I mean, here you have a Texas grand jury looking into this, and they ultimately decide, Texas out of all states, ultimately decide that there were no grounds whatsoever to actually bring criminal charges. But instead, here we have a situation where the NFL is seeking punishment so bad as if he actually committed a crime. So I want to know how y'all feel about that. Let me look at some of y'all's comments here. Deshaun Watson should have hired the Patriots owner, Bob Kraft's attorneys. He, too, was charged with sexual misconduct when caught in a prostitution sting, and his charges were swept under the rug. Okay, Alvin, you really believe that? Yep. I believe you're right. But I don't know. It sounds like he has some pretty good lawyers, man. I mean, a 6-game suspension, not even, a $20 million fine with a $243 million contract. And I know he doesn't get all the $243 million right now, or $223 million. Anyway, it's 200 something. Norma Board. I think there would be a conviction. I have long lived enough to justice served. Partially, Mayor Fisher is hiding also, and that's on the Breonna Taylor matter. Yeah. I think those guys are in trouble. I got to be honest with you, man. I think those police officers, Norma, I think they're in trouble. I think some of them are going to the federal penitentiary, and it may be overdue because I'm gonna comment on that again. Deshaun Watson should be suspended for more than personal conduct. I know this was an override. It seems as though some pockets were lying. Maybe not. I don't know, but he was not charged, Norma. He was not charged with any criminal offense. When do we say that justice from the court of law and from a judicial system is what governs as opposed to the cancel culture? When do we do that? I'm just asking. Watson was never charged with sexual assault, and judges refused to indict. Several teams investigated his ordeal and didn't find any criminal misconduct. And that's an interesting point because that was a criticism for the Cleveland Browns, only to discover that they felt like that they didn't have enough evidence to deny him an opportunity to play. And by the way, they need a quarterback bad because the guy they had from Oklahoma was not, y'all know. I don't have to get into that. But in any case, I don't know if let me just say this. I don't think that it was because Cleveland was anxious and lusting for a really, really talented quarterback. I think they felt just like you did, Alvin, that, no criminal charges, et cetera, Ragnar, how you doing, my friend? Bontez Burfict got 12 games for his hit on AB, Antonio Brown, and no woman was harmed in the process. Yeah. I mean, we can talk about, what's fair, actually, what's fair and what's not fair during this whole process. But, y'all just have to keep in mind that, I mean, it's tough. It's tough, y'all. It's tough. It's really, really tough, in my opinion, when there's no criminal charges. When you don't have any criminal charges, man, I think it's really, really tough to turn around and say, I think I'm going to charge this person. Anyway, let's do this real quick, just for the sake of time. Let's talk about, let's stop talking about that one. And if y'all want to continue to comment, y'all can. But let's talk about Brittney Griner, right? In NBC News, Brittney Griner sentenced to 9 years in a Russian prison on drug charges, and it sounds unfair, and it is unfair. According to People magazine at people.com, Brittney Griner devastated after a Russian court sentences her to 9 years in prison, and this is what her lawyers say, right? Brittney Griner is devastated, her lawyers tell People magazine, after a Russian court sentenced her to 9 years in prison on charges of smuggling drugs into the country. And interesting enough, we don't even prosecute the possession of marijuana here in Jefferson County. So 9 years just seems extremely excessive for what we know the facts to be. Extremely excessive and interesting enough. But in an interview Thursday, Griner's lawyers from the Moscow Legal Center said that the 9-year sentence was nearly double what they were expecting and difficult for the 31-year-old WNBA star to take in. She's devastated. She's devastated, her lawyers said. She is very upset, and she's honestly quite shocked. So she needs to digest what happened today, according to her attorney. Griner has not yet been able to speak with her wife, Sherelle, or any friends or family since the ruling. Her lawyer says, but she does have permission to do so, and they hopefully will be able to set up the call sometime next week. Now, Brittney Griner, of course, as you know, was sentenced to 9 years in a Russian prison on drug charges. Griner, who had pled guilty to bringing less than 1 gram of cannabis oil into Russia, said during closing arguments early Thursday that she, quote, had no intents to break any Russian laws. She and her lawyers had also tried to establish that she had a prescription in the United States to use medical marijuana, and argued that she was not properly informed of her rights when she was arrested at the Moscow airport in February. A Russian court dismissed her request for leniency in their sentence, which is just below the maximum sentence for drug possession of 10 years. Wow. Possession of marijuana, 10 years to serve. Her lawyer says this type of criminal court is usually not so severe and typically gives people 5.5 or 6 year sentences for possession of marijuana. Wow. So 9 years is pretty unusual, and it contradicts the existing court practice in Russia, according to her lawyer. That's why we are really disappointed and very much surprised by the decision of the court, her lawyer says. Now, WNBA, NBA, and more react to Brittney Griner's sentencing in Russia unjustified and unfortunate, according to the attorney. They now have 10 days to file an appeal to the ruling, which they intend to do by the end of next week, according to the lawyers, though that appeals process could take a month or 2 or more than 3. It's not very fast, the lawyers say. They don't know if it would change Griner's sentence, but the lawyer says that as a legal team, we need to do the maximum to get a shorter term. We need to use every legal opportunity that we have, and an appeal is one of those opportunities. The hope, though, is that the ongoing negotiations between the United States Department and Russia to release Griner as part of a prisoner exchange with Paul Whelan, another American imprisoned in Russia, will be successful and get her home soon. And again, the source of this is people.com. Let me see your comments here. I'm going to take your comments. Let's see here. I'm going to get back to you, Norma Board. Okay, I thought he was charged. I have to rethink the verdict now. Yeah, I need you to do that, Norma, because I know you're a lot more reasonable than that. He was never charged. Now, he did, out of the there were 24 lawsuits against him, and 23 of those they have settled. But keep in mind that they settled these lawsuits for a lot of reasons. You know, I suspect that Deshaun Watson just simply didn't want the publicity every time he left the field about these civil cases out here. So it's probably wise to settle. I mean, you got $243 million. You peel $100,000, just like throwing pennies on the ground, right? So I suspect that that's probably why he settled those civil cases. So don't hold that against him. But I think it's very significant that no criminal charges were brought. I believe the massage women during questioning may have said Deshaun was a good customer and paid for the service provided. What do you mean by that, Alvin? I believe they did too. How did he pay for it? How did they pay for it? I'm not making any innuendos, but listen, y'all, I've said this on the show when this thing first came out long ago about Deshaun Watson, that, you know, it's a massage parlor. Okay, it's a massage parlor. Now, I'm not going to suggest for massage therapists that you all do things that are a little unwitty in those massage places, but I would tell you the perception is that a little bit more than massages go on there. So with this type of expectation, I mean, if Deshaun hit you on your rear end with a towel or something like that, what are we really talking about? I don't say that just to make fun of anything or anybody. I say that because I think it's significant that he was never charged. Ragnar, he made the NFL look bad, and any employee that makes a company look bad may not get criminal charges, but may suffer discipline from their job. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, Ragnar, but he's losing 6 games. You know, that could cost the Cleveland Browns, and I don't know if you're a Cleveland fan. Maybe you're a Cincinnati fan up there in Ohio, but, I mean, he's losing 6 games. I mean, that could be a dagger for your season when you're in the league with teams like Baltimore and all those other, and Pittsburgh and all those other talented, and the Cincinnati Bengals this year. You know, 6 games without somebody who can help you win is significant. you again. Brittney was not in America, and that's the risk you take in another country. We have to stop being so arrogant as Americans. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think that, when you travel abroad, you have to check and make sure that the laws are favorable for what it is you're doing. I remember when I was a gun prosecutor, I used to have a lot of people, Ragnar, a lot of our frat brothers would call me and say, I know you're a gun prosecutor down there in Kentucky. I'm a licensed gun owner in Pennsylvania. What if I go over to New Jersey? And that's the duty that you should impose upon yourself especially when you're traveling to a foreign country, especially a country like Russia. Especially a country like Russia. So I'm with you. Norma, you're getting back to Deshaun. Let me see your comment. Let me see her comment. I thought she had to be sentenced in order for the United States to intervene. That is correct, and she was sentenced today to 9 years. So now that she is a prisoner, they can have a prisoner swap. But they really couldn't do the swap before that. And I think unknown user, hiding yourself. Okay, we're okay with that. It sounds like the same injustice in America. I don't know. It might be worse over there. 9 years for possessing marijuana? The prosecutor here told the police, don't even bring marijuana charges to the courtroom. We're not going to prosecute him. And in Russia, for possession of marijuana, cannabis, that's what it is. It's 9 years. Anyway, here's another comment. Well, I am not a Trump supporter. I do believe that the former president would have negotiated. Can you give me over something? Yeah, would have negotiated. We're going to bring that back. We're going to remove that and then bring that back, if you don't mind. The former president would have negotiated a compromise to free her regardless of her sexual orientation, being black and not a Trump supporter. Trump would use this incident to show his supporters that he is a strong leader with intentional clout. To the extent that you think that his conduct would have been asinine, he probably would have done that. But I don't know. You think it has something to do with the fact that, do you think her sexual orientation played a role here and the fact that she's black? I don't think so. I think the problem here is that, and I said this on this show when we talked about what Danny Cameron did, refusing to indict the police officers like the feds did today, is that it is really, really dangerous and it's sad and it's unfair when politics rears its ugly head into our justice systems anywhere in this world. And I think that's what's going on, in my opinion. With Brittney Griner, and she mentioned that in her sentence, she's a pawn. She is a pawn. When you go to Rome, you must do what the Romans say. You must do what the Romans do. That is an old saying. I agree. That is an old saying. So anyway, y'all, I got one other break, and when I come back, Willie Aiken, where you been, man? He says true. Anyway, I've got another break, and when I come back from this break, I'm going to do what I need to do to get out of here. This is Conscious Fever here on Ice Entertainment Television, Conscious Fever Radio. Of course, I am Carl Price, your host. I'll be right back.
My village is vibrant, alive with the kinds of creators, makers, and visionaries that will shape us and our realities to come. Driven by the beats of new drums, this rhythm feels like alignment and divine timing. Our potential is now. Our stories are next. To be heard, to be known, to reimagine and remind we don't follow what's in or who's on. We define that. Creating space and making a way out of none. We will always find one. Historically fact, because we are your village, your vibrance, and your future. Historically black.
I don't want them, no, get them all off me. Say that for L, she a cause, you see. 4 cars deep, we'll come through on a late night. Chicken spot, wings and fries, we call that a day night. Lights on, so out, I don't have no stage fright. Knew that I was built for this forever, ever.
You are listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
We ride bands, 10 times 10, all my friends, this for real.
Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
Till I die, I gotta stay. Till I die, I gotta stay.
And we are back with more Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price, Esquire.
Hey, welcome back to Conscious Fever here on Ice Entertainment Television, Conscious Fever Radio. I am Carl Price, your host. I got to stay fly, until I die. I like that song. Anyway, I got some more comments here. We're going to talk about these comments, and then I'm going to get out of here. Ragnar, you're at it again. Trump would have had her home long time ago, but he also wouldn't be in the middle of a conflict with Russia either. Yeah, I mean, but that's like tit for tat, Ragnar, right? So we got to be friendly with Russia in order to get people home. I agree with that, but I'm not sure if I would be okay if Trump was still in office. I'm sure Brittney probably would. If y'all really believe that, and you know, the sad truth is that he was so cozy up with Putin, he probably would. And that's just so unfortunate for her family. Life. I got you, Willie. Life. Yes, sir. Trump would have made a backdoor deal with Putin. Right. Trump would have given up all the rights you have here in America with Putin just to get one person home. I don't know if I'm okay with that, y'all. But I got you. I hear you. And she had hashish oil, was my understanding, while vaping it, or in a vapor. Yeah, something like that. Whatever she had, it wouldn't have gotten her the type of time over here in America that she got, that she got over there. Anyway, y'all, it is my time here. I do appreciate y'all joining me tonight. I had to squeeze all these topics in tonight. Interesting stuff, though. This was a really heavy day. But your thoughts. Your thoughts on this, right? Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, your thoughts on this. Do you think ultimately Louisville will see justice for Breonna Taylor? And that depends on whether you believe that justice has already been served, whether you believe that the police should have any type of discipline at all for what happened. Didn't Trump get the bald kid from China on shoplifting charges? Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. But what do you think that means? Right? Good night. See you next week. Oh, you're going to bed, Norma? Yeah. Look, I gotta get out in this stuff. Y'all see that back there? I gotta get out in this stuff. And I am on a lower floor today. That's why you see me so close to the street tonight. I hope y'all are okay with that. Yeah. You get a chance to see me next week. Russian has 99% conviction. Wow, that's better than the federal government here, right? Yeah. I get back to the point that somebody made earlier, and that is that you have to know where you're going, and you have to have some appreciation of what the laws are. I think, unfortunately for Brittney, sometimes we put these athletes on such a high pedestal that sometimes they believe that, everything is okay. Even playing over there for Russia, they don't give a damn not that much about basketball, right? They'll bring you over there for the entertainment. So that's the unfortunate thing. But you have to know or worry about your surroundings. Trump has connections with Russia. He has a Russian wife. Yep. Somebody said that she was related to Putin. Did y'all ever hear that? I heard that before. I'm not sure if that's true or not. Don't know if it's true. Don't know. I just don't know.
Kayvon Thibodeau, the football player, he didn't just arrive from nowhere. We put a lot of prayer into that boy, especially since he was a kid. I think God blesses people to be a blessing to others. He wants to make sure that he's able to give back.
Check this out. All I am is a man with ambition to be the best. When I failed, it just gave me the vision to see the rest. Wasn't even ready when God gave me the test. So I pray you find love in the pieces of me that's left. You turn me up. Turn me up. Yeah, I pray you find love in the pieces of me that's left. Feel it in your soul that separates from your flesh. The nights that I cried alone, they taught me best. Anybody shine like this, they mighty blessed. But sometimes you gotta go through the dark to manifest.
Another one of me won't come around.
So long. All right, that's my cue to get out of here. They're saying so long. That's Fats Domino in the background, but it's also playing on Conscious Fever Radio. I got to get out of here. I see 2 more comments. She looks like him. Yep, I agree that she does look like Putin. Might be related to him, like we said.
You are listening to Conscious
Russia
Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
Goodbye. I've got to get out of here. I'll see you all next week. Thanks for joining me. We'll be back next week here on Conscious Fever. Carl Price, Ice Entertainment Television. See you next week.
You are listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price on 97thebeatfm.com.
I was born by the river in a little tent. Like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh yes it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. 'Cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh yes it is. Then I go to my brother. And I say, brother, help me please. But he wind up knocking me back down on the knees. Oh, there've been times that I thought I couldn't last for long. I'm able, Father. And it's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes it is. Yes it is. Yes it is. Said I know that a change is gonna come one day. I know a change